Y'all know usually I like to keep y'all in suspense for a little bit while I give the intro, but as you can see, we're a little urgent right now. So the brother right
Yes, sir.
here, to my right or my left, your right, I don't know how this internet stuff works right now, but is my
Like
man
that.
DJ Big Phil. He's a DJ, a historian, and a serious art collector, the curator of collections in Black. Just an all around dope individual. And he's a filmmaker. That's probably the most important part to this discussion. And right now
Okay.
he's working on a film called Finding 52 that's live on Kickstarter right now. If you go to comicsaredope.com/52, you can back that campaign. But without getting further ado, Mr. DJ Big Phil, how's it going, sir?
Brother Kicks, man. It's going well since I'm on here with you right now. Before we get started, I just want to give you your props and your respect. I don't think people understand just how hard you work in this culture and this community, and I appreciate it. We were in Charlotte. I had so much going on, and you made sure I had footage and things of that particular nature, man. So I just want to let you know, man, I really do appreciate you, and I love the work that you're doing.
Oh man, I appreciate it. It's mutual. So for a lot of people listening to this know, but a lot of people don't, that my background is in music. I was in the music industry before I was into comics. Before I was into any of that, I was just a big Black history nerd. That was my major in college, or my minor, excuse me. I had a major in marketing.
Okay.
Um, but like history is just important to me. And so once I got into you know, comics and
Right.
having this YouTube platform and all that, the interviewing
Right.
part was so important to me because it's like I'm really building an archive, these conversations that,
For sure.
we're not
For sure.
necessarily seeing in other spaces and stuff like that. And so to see what you have been able to do with collections in Black, like really putting the respect on the artist, but not even necessarily just the artist, but the fact that the art exists and is
Yes, sir.
worthy of preserving and presenting for a next generation. It's like you're doing that
Yes, sir.
archival work as well. And I really appreciate it.
Well, you know what? As a fan of history, or as you know, we are stewards of history when we get to a particular point. A lot of times we're sitting here, we're creating history, and we don't even know it. We have the means to do these things at this particular point in time. One of my biggest things is that I always say, we always complain about not being able to tell our stories. And So when we have a chance to tell our story, we need to tell our stories. And it's not necessarily that other people can't tell our story correctly, but sometimes it is, oftentimes, most times, it's best for that to come directly from us. And a lot of times, too many of us don't want to do that for whatever reason. Me, I just feel like I'm charged to do this, and I think that that is really the catalyst as into why Collections in Black really was born, was to document the process and to document the history.
Word. So speaking of the history, I want to get into a little bit of yours, right?
Yes, sir.
It's not lost on me that you are a DJ, right?
Yes, sir.
Of course, the DJ being the foundational pillar of hip hop, right?
Yes, sir.
And at the very beginning, DJs are going digging in crates, finding these break beats from these sometimes really prominent and popular R&B records, sometimes more obscure stuff. But the the essence of being a DJ is going in, finding something that people aren't necessarily using for one purpose, repurposing it, finding beauty in it, and making something that folks can dance to and like really have a good time with. And that feels very much parallel to what you do as a collector. But I'm curious as to which came first. Was it music for you? Was it comics? Or have they always been together?
So here is, there's a very excellent conversation. So the beauty of this is that both my father and my stepfather collected comics. Actually, I got my first collection from my step pops. We were in New Jersey. Make a long story short, him and my mom started dealing. We went to New Jersey to go see his mother, and he went downstairs and he brought up three comics for me. It was a Marvel double feature, double action with Captain America on the cover, a Thor, and Spider-Man John Romita cover, or Gil Kane cover. and he brought them up pristine condition. And he said to me, "You take care of these tonight. I'm gonna bring the rest up, and you can have them." He brought them up, stack of nothing but heat, and I kept them. But of course, as a little kid, I didn't really take care of them like I should have. I went home and back to Pittsburgh, and they were all over the place. Segue to my father, who was also a collector, and he was a collector of Black Panther, Jungle Action, Hulk, Spider Man, and Western comics. And that is where my real love for comics came, because when my dad would go off to work, me and my brothers would sneak in his room and go through his comic box and just read them over and over and over. We risked getting our ass beat because we would get whooping if he found us in the boxes. And then by the time he came in from work, we'd put him back, and hide him, et cetera, et cetera. Reason why I mentioned my step pops is because my step pops was also a musician. He was in all type of bands coming up to Pittsburgh. He's from the Virgin Islands, and there was always musicians in my house. There was always music in my house, and when I wanted to get into DJing and things of that nature, you gotta remember I'm a little bit older, so there was a point where the parents weren't messing with hip hop back in the '80s. That's listen to that music. But my stepfather, he kind of respected the fact that I would play songs, and then he would say, "Oh, that's a Taj Mahal. That's from Taj Mahal. That's from James Brown. That's from George Clinton." So what happened was I started learning about the samples and things of that nature. Make a long story short, one Christmas I got a drum machine. Next Christmas I got turntables, mixer, et cetera, et cetera. But it was never frowned upon. And my step pops and my dad, but my step pops had a really nice record collection. So I would go through there, and my mom had a nice 45 collection. And I remember one time, I know this is long-winded, but it's all part of the journey. I remember one time we were I was messing with these Al Green records, and I was going back and forth on the break, and he came downstairs and he said, "All right, well, okay." I said, "You got something there." And my dad is a serious bass player. He's telling me like, "Okay, I see what you're doing with them records." A year later, Eric B. and Rakim's Mahogany came out, and that was where that break comes from. And my step pop said to me before I realized, he said to me, "Hey, yo, you was doing that before the record even came out." So there was that. So I'll say the love for comics came in first, but the music was always there in the house, and it was never a shunned on experience. Like I would be sitting there reading a comic book while my dad and his band would be practicing in the basement,
Mhm.
So, and my mom read comics too when she was younger.
I think it's dope, like the way that like music and comics go together really well, right?
For sure.
Especially
For
as a
sure.
hobby, right? Like if you're collecting
Yes, sir.
records, I came up in the CD era. My uncle used to work at Atlantic, and so we would go to my grandmother's house, and he would just have these huge Rubbermaid bins full of the promo CDs and other free stuff he got,
Right.
right? But like going through the liner notes, and then on his actual 12-inch collection, same thing. Going through liner notes, you're seeing like, okay, this dude played keys. Oh, that's the same dude that did
Right.
the other record, and so on,
Right.
right?
Right.
And it's like it's the same thing when you go and you're going through comics. Like you might see a last name on the cover, like, oh snap, Cowan. He did that Batman joint. He did Black Panther.
For sure.
Okay,
For
cool. What's
sure.
going on with that? And that there's to me, there's a lot of fun in that
Oh
discovery
yeah.
and finding new names and then starting to follow them. Who were some of your favorites, like as you started to kind of form your taste?
And you talk in the
Yeah, in the
comic
comic.
space. So when I was younger, of course, growing up, every kid liked Spider-Man. Um, I didn't like Jack Kirby until I got older,
Mm,
because we were younger. Jack Kirby's style was just so different. And then as I got older, it turned into a whole nother situation. Like when I see like his splash pages and stuff, it's like, yo, this is unreal. But coming up, Some of my favorites, and I didn't know their names, but I knew what they were. So I loved Billy Graham was one of my favorites. So I would love looking at Billy Graham's Jungle Action pages. John Romita Sr.'s Spider-Man. Um, I used to love looking at that as well. John Byrne, when he would draw the Avengers, I'm talking before the X-Men era, but I remember he would do like Avengers, Marvel team up. And back when we were younger, artists would work on multiple books at a time. Like I mean, I think at one point, like Byrne was doing X-Men, Marvel team up, Avengers, this and that's just unheard of. But as a kid, for me, it was certain books I would pick up and I would love just reading those books and I'd be immersed in them. One of the things that me and my brothers would do is we remember the old tape recorders when you put the tape in and you had like
Mm,
the little square buttons and whatever. We would take those comics, we would draw our own comics and then we would record audio for
mm,
them. And we would go back and we would play them back. We do our little sound effects by, tapping on the mics, things of that particular nature. But that was us copying the remember comics used to have the records that came with them, the
mm-hmm.
45s,
Yep.
and that was our way of doing that, but doing that on cassette. So we were kind of creative with it. And I think I kind of went way far out the answer. But for me, it was, the Black Panther books, the Spider-Man books when I was younger.
Mm,
And then when I got like in the, pre-teens, because I was collecting comics when I was super young. That's kind of how I really learned how to read, to be honest with you. That was one of the reasons that helped me to read. Um, then I started getting into like the Frank Miller Daredevils and the Byrne X-Men, but I still would buy the Jungle Actions. Like I always would buy those particular Jungle Action books.
mm.
So
So let me ask you this, because I'm younger than you are, but also I didn't get into
yeah,
comics till I was an adult.
right.
But people always talk about like, oh,
You
like
had to point out you were younger than me, but that's all right. I appreciate it. Go ahead,
you
bro.
you said it at the top of the show. You brought
I
it up
did.
first.
You're right.
It's all good. But
Yes,
nah.
sir.
So the people always talk about how like, okay, when I was a kid, like reading comics or like being a nerd or whatever would get you beat up and so on. Right. I didn't have that experience because I wasn't reading comics at that point.
All right.
But what I have found is that all of my hip hop heroes are into comics, like huge comic nerds. Like,
The difference is though because your hip hop heroes are in their 50s, right?
it's true.
So when we were younger, it wasn't looked upon as some nerd culture situation. So when we were younger, everybody read comics. They were in the grocery stores. They were in your newsstand. So you would go and you would pick them up and you would read them. So you have to remember now, at this point, video games didn't look like nothing. And the movie special effects were trash as well. So when you would read a comic, it would transport you to a totally different space for the imagination where the movies couldn't even keep up to where that was. I don't think the whole super nerd aspect of it didn't come until maybe into the 90s.
Mm.
I think when you started getting into it being this super ultra, I think when things started phasing out and it was going to the shop, I think there was a time when it turned into that. But when we were younger, everybody read comics. Everybody knew read comics. They may not have all collected, but everybody knew comics. For instance, how else is it that everybody my age and older, they could tell who Spider-Man, Iron Man, Thor, Captain America is, et cetera, et cetera. This is before the movies even came out because that was a major form of entertainment for us as kids. People used to read, and so that's what that is. But I think the nerd, super nerd aspect didn't come about until later with it when there were other forms of entertainment. And then people are like, oh, look at them, he's reading, he's a nerd. It wasn't like that. Reading is what we had back then.
That makes sense, especially with the
If that
rise
if
of the
that makes
direct
sense.
market, right? Like, because now
Right.
you got to seek out this stuff. It's not in the grocery store, like you said.
For
So,
sure. For sure. For
so
sure.
yeah.
It's not necessarily like when I tell people all the time, so people say to me, oh man, you're a nerd. I said, no, I'm not a nerd by any stretch of the imagination, but I do like certain pop culture situations. Like I don't, nerd connotations mean something different to my particular generation than those younger than me.
Mm,
Definitely not in that particular vein. but I do respect the art forms and things of that particular nature. But I do have a, I will only go so far with some of these things,
Mm-hmm.
brother Kings.
I, I feel you. So I have lines, right? Like
For
I'll wear
sure.
a Marvel T-shirt all day. I feel like if I put a
Okay.
superhero logo on my hat, it's weird
For sure.
now, right? Like I'm not walking around with a Superman hat. I don't know, for whatever reason. That's like it just crosses
Right.
the line. It's no longer fly. But you know, my whole wardrobe is superhero graphic tees and a Mets hat. But whatever. Um,
Well, I mean, so here's me. So I'll rock a So like I'm getting ready to do a screening. We're doing like a screening for Spider-Man, a new Spider-Man movie, and I'm hosting a screening here in Pittsburgh next week. I'm gonna probably have on. I'm probably be fresh, but I'm gonna have on some Spider-Man something. Like when all the Marvel movies come out, me and my kids go to the films, and whatever the new movie is, we make sure we have one of the shirts on because I mean, for us, it's an event. You
mm,
know what I'm saying? Um, but I feel like that's a totally different celebration of, what we're about to partake into. You know what I mean? So there's that part of it.
yeah, for
And I
sure.
don't have an issue with people who 100% nerd out and do whatever because you need that. I think that's a big part of the fandom. The fandom does, that does feed the fandom. It's just that I just have my limits on where I'm at with that.
I feel you. What I will say though is I feel like nerds are nerds. And, we may not like terminology or whatever, but it's like if you were the one reading the back of the albums, right? If you can tell me the frequency at which to cut to make it sound good, like all that is super geeky, nerdy. Like you got to go in the
So
trenches to get
I'm
that.
gonna disagree with you.
Okay.
People used to read, cause people read. It wasn't it wasn't a niche thing. So let me paint a picture for you. So this is what we talk about getting history correct.
Okay.
When the Earth, Wind, and Fire album will come out, right? And I'd be over at my Uncle Jimmy's house,
Mm-hmm.
and my mom and people all over there. There's no videos.
Mm-hmm.
Jet Magazine came out what once a week.
Yeah.
Ebony came out once a month. You might get a article in there, right? Radio was segregated, right? And we're talking 20 years ago. It's just recently that they started playing black songs on white radio. Remember, you had pop radio
Yeah.
and you had R&B radio. If you didn't make songs for R&B radio and you were black, you made pop records and you were a sellout, you know? So back then, you would get the album. Everybody read the liner notes. Everybody read the liner notes. Everybody looked at it, you pulled it out, you see the post. Oh, this is crazy. You read the song titles and whatever. It was just something that, we've lost that art. And,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's what the problem is. We've kind of lost that. We would sit back and we would read that. That's why album covers were so important and so iconic because when you saw that album cover, that was your gateway to who the artist was. That was your gateway to where the music, where the feeling of the music came. When you see an Ohio Players album, you don't even have to know it's an Ohio Players album. You can look at the cover and say, "Oh, that's the new Ohio Players. Let me grab that joint." The Earth, Wind, and Fire with the pyramids and things of that particular nature. Like I just remember getting that, and the music is playing. You put the record on, and you're holding the album. The album was so big that you could see the artwork. Sometimes they have gatefold covers, and you're reading it. So now, when you start getting into the frequencies and whatever, that's next level.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm saying people used to read. For instance, when you used to eat cereal back in the day, you weren't on your phone, you weren't on your iPad. You sat at the table and you looked at the back of the box. Your Captain Crunch would have like a little game on it
Yeah.
or some other shit on it, and you would turn around and have a mask. Even when you ate a Happy Meal as a kid, you would get your Happy Meal, and there would be games and things, and you would sit there and you would deal with it that particular way.
Yeah.
I just think that it's important, and I get what you're saying, but I'm telling you, this was regular. There was nothing special about it. And I think the reason why we kind of make it seem like it's something else is because cats can't read right now. Cats don't read. Cats can't write in cursive. Me, and I'm going on a tangent. You know how many times I've done an event, I put a flyer up and I have all the damn information on there, and somebody will say to me, "What time does it start?" And I'm like, "It says it right there on the flyer." Where is it at? It's right there because people don't read. We sit back and we scroll and we go through. I'm done. I know I'm doing too much.
Nah, nah,
I got excited.
No, that's
But I just, for me, I just feel like a lot of times when we go back and we talk about these things, I was there.
hmm
I'll be 55 in a couple months. And I just remember it was just different. We
yeah,
need to go somewhere, you put on a map. A map. Can you imagine me giving somebody a map today?
yo,
Right? My dad still use my dad will pull out the map, go through whatever. Oh, I gotta get off on exit this, that, and third. And while you're driving, you gotta remember this is what this is coming up. We've kind of lost those sensibilities. I'm done. That's a whole conversation for a whole nother day.
you're right.
I apologize.
You know,
Let's go.
you're good. You're right. And I don't want. I'm gonna take it a little bit further though, because I do want to draw a distinction because it feels like the
Go ahead.
term nerd hits a certain bone, right? But
All right.
my point is really just that to me, to nerd out on anything is like you become that one with like the encyclopedic knowledge. And my point is
Okay.
just that I feel like certain people are nerds for quote unquote cooler things. So like to be the music
Okay.
nerd is like, okay, cool. Like most people aren't gonna know, you know, who the lead drummer was for the Ohio Players from this time to this time, but like a music
All right.
nerd would, in the same way that a
Okay.
comics nerd knows like who the colorist was or like who Tom Orzechowski is and so on.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
the same way a sneakerhead can tell you like, yeah, Tinker Hatfield did Jordans 1 through 14 and then took a
But
break and
sneaker,
so
but
on.
look at the term you use. You don't call them sneaker nerds. You call them sneaker heads.
That's because somebody gave that title out already.
But that's what I'm saying. So with us, go ahead. I see what you're doing. But let's go. Let's go.
So, but that's so for me, it's like when I hear the term nerd, it's not pejorative, but it feels like
For sure.
it kind of comes
Well,
across
that's a
that
good
way to
word
you. And I
too.
wonder if
I
that's just
see
like a
you. I see
generational
you.
thing.
I see you using that big vocabulary, brother kid. That's good.
Hey
Go
man,
ahead.
I
I
read
like
too. Reading is normal. It's
it.
fundamental.
Let's go. Let's go.
but yeah, so it's like I don't use it as like a derogatory term, but it comes across
Right.
that way to some, and I
For sure.
wonder why that is.
Because so when I grew up, when I seen movies like Revenge of the Nerds, that wasn't that. That's when we look at it. Like a nerd is the dude who got his lunch money taken,
Mm,
or who got beat up every day, or ain't never dated nobody over a three. I don't fit any of them categories. I never have.
gotcha.
So, that's where I'm at with it. But I do get it. Like I don't look at it necessarily as a derogatory term.
Mhm.
But when you have certain individuals who are definitively somebody who doesn't wear deodorant, never, et cetera, and this and that, and they want to use it and try to, say like we're the same. No, cuz we're not. We're not at all. We don't have any of that. Matter of fact, my deodorant has aluminum in it to make sure that it's not all natural. And my cologne smells good. I'm a fresh cut. I'm gonna look good. I'm not going, and I'm gonna be well spoken. I'm gonna be respectful. But we're not the same. We're not the same person. Now at the same time is I can still respect that particular person's knowledge and whatever, and we can have the same interests in certain things. But also you gotta let them know that we're just not. We're just not the same. And that doesn't just go for the comics area. That goes for just anybody in general. That's regular, that's regular stuff. I know some people are watching, it's like, man, what are they talking about? But this is a black moment today, y'all.
Oh yeah,
And we're talking like we just talking on the phone. So we're gonna get to it.
we
I
are.
apologize for the kicks. This is what
Nah,
happens when I get on these shows.
it's all good. It's all good. They know by now not to expect a normal interview from me, of all people.
For sure. For
Especially when
sure.
we start talking to the family. But so let me ask you this: how does your
Yes,
love
sir.
of comics go from let me just see what's on the page to I need to own that page? Where does the original art bug
Man.
come
So I think to a certain degree, I want to say it's a natural progression,
in? Mhm.
but I don't think everybody's going to get into that. Um, I've always was in, so it's, I was always interested in original art because I used to draw and things of that nature. I love graffiti and I love the arts. I love art in general. But then it came to start owning things, um, and I started realizing the importance of why some of these particular pieces were important. And then I also felt like these artists are fine artists. And I do all this art stuff with museums and exhibits and foundations and whatever. And I've seen things that are on comic pages that look 10 times better than things that are on the wall. And art is subjective, but some art is just better than whatever. You can't tell me a Brian still freeze isn't something that doesn't belong in the Carnegie Museum. You know what I'm saying? Or Adam Hughes, Sienkiewicz, Sanford Green. I could go on and on. They Cowens. And it's just amazing to me that these artists don't get that same level of respect. Um, in that field, they do what we do in our own field. But I'm just like, I feel like I'm kind of charged with making sure that we put this on an even playing field, even though it's totally different. But I could take a still freaks painting and put it up against anything anybody's ever done.
Facts.
I could take a Hughes painting, dude. I could take a Sienkiewicz painting. I could take any, I could take some Billy Graham piece, Matt Baker. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And just John Byrne with Terry Austin inks. Yeah, I mean we could go on and on and on. Jack Kirby, it's Cowan,
Hmm.
out Lashley. I just feel like it's just the art form. It's already respected in our own particular space, but I wanted to be like when I'm in these other spaces and they're like kind of talking down to it, I could say, watch your mouth. And then I can show them examples as into why they gotta put some respect on it.
Okay. So I'll ask this. Um, because we've had like the whole pop art movement, right? You have folks like Liechtenstein, like straight up aping comic book panels and putting
For
it on
sure.
canvas and displaying it in a
And,
museum, right?
and getting crazy props and props for it. Biting, actually. No
Right.
disrespect, but it is what it is.
No, it was. I mean, it was biting. It was literally tracing, straight up tracing, right? Like,
For sure.
So how is it that we have the whole pop art movement? People are enamored by what is, you know, in actuality comic book art. And yet here we are in 2026 and we feel like the comic artists aren't getting that respect. Why is that?
Because it's done by the comic artist. Because it's not done by somebody else. So for instance, um, that's the answer. Because
Mm,
it's done by the comic artist. If it was done by somebody else who didn't do comics, they'd be like, oh my God, this is amazing.
mm,
Did you see the way that this was or whatever? Um, but the comic artists, they're good at that. So for instance, it's like sometimes you'll see certain actors, and I'm gonna go, this is gonna sound crazy. You'll see certain actors who should probably be who are already looked upon as the greats, right? And they could probably be nominated for every film that they do. But you're so used to them doing good in it that it doesn't come off as anything special,
mm,
right? It's just what they do. So when you look at a comic artist, this is just what they do. But if you get this other guy that doesn't do that, and then he does it, they're like, "Oh, this is mind blowing. This is incredible." So I think that is the science as into why that is.
gotcha. I was curious as to like, because you've been in those art collector spaces, right? And I'm
For
curious,
sure.
like, okay, like what is it about this crowd that doesn't appreciate it when it's in one
Mhm.
form versus another? Is it a certain demographic that you've noticed? Like what is
Right.
it?
It's the appreciation isn't there.
Mm,
I mean, I think that's it. So shout out to the people at the August Wilson Center. So when I first did collections in black at the August Wilson Center, they were open to me putting it there that's why I did the first time. And in the beginning, it was kind of a struggle, respectfully, because I don't think that they actually knew exactly what I was trying to do with it, because trying to explain these are the original pages. And I think at one point they kind of thought I was talking about the actual comics themselves and pages taken out. I'm like, no, this is the original art from the pages. And I think that once people saw that, it kind of grew into something else, and then it just kind of expanded. People were looking like, oh, this is crazy. You got OAX in Florida, where it's nothing but original art itself. but I was the first to do an all culturally relevant original art show. All originals. Let me get that out the way. No facsimiles. You know, some people will be like, man, we need to put this up here because it got more color and this and that. I don't want anything like that. You know, I want it to be all real, all authentic. I don't want anybody to say to me that, you know, I had a chance to get some really dope replicas
Mhm.
or high res scans from the actual people who own stuff. I said, no, I won't do that, but I'll fly out to come pick the art up from you and bring it back and do it that particular way. I mean, that's how serious I am about this. I hope I just answered whatever question you just asked me because I just went on and on.
Yeah, no, you're good. So let's back up a little bit and tell the people
Yes, sir.
what Collections in Black is and how long you've been doing it. Like I kind of been hyping it up as of late
Yes,
because I
sir.
finally got to see it for myself in person in
Yes, sir.
Charlotte.
Yes, sir.
Um, but when did Collections in Black start?
Collections in Black started a couple of years ago. Um, and it was basically my love letter to the culture. And it was just something that I felt it just needed to be done. I
Mm,
felt it needed to be done. I felt like we needed to tell our own story, and this is just what we needed to do. And I was able. So what it is that it's a collection of all original art, all original comic book art. Like I said, no facsimiles, pencil and inks. I don't own all of them, but most of them are mine. But then I do get some from other individuals in my crew who help me, who let me get them, and we have them in the galleries and exhibits, and we display them for the people to see. It's like just historical archives of the work. And in the August Wilson Center was beautiful, man. We have multiple rooms, two different floors, and to see people come in and see these pages it's just an amazing thing because it affects everybody differently.
mm,
You'll have certain people that will come in and will just want to see it because they've seen superheroes on the MCU and in cartoons and things of that particular nature. So then they come in and they see it like, oh man, this is nice. You have certain individuals that'll come in and say, oh, I have this original book. Oh, this is what this looks like. Oh, this is my favorite artist. But then there's the historical aspect. Um, you'll come in and you're like, oh, this is the first appearance of this. This is when this was this. Oh, this was that. Like I have the pages from True Comics number 5, 1941. The first time we were ever featured on the cover and included inside of a book in a positive manner. Joe Lewis, it was a Joe Lewis piece. It had multiple stories in there, and the Joe Lewis piece was 5 pages. I own all the pages to that story. First time I own all those pages. And that is one of the centerpieces of Collections in Black, because that's important. Another centerpiece of Collections in Black is my Buffalo Soldier page, splash page by Peralta.
mm,
I know some people didn't like that run, but I don't care. That thing reminded me of my dad, because my dad used to like cow. He was a big cowboy. He called him Western fan, but he called him cowboy movie. So he
mm.
was a fan of that. So we kind of that was something that I had to have that splash page. And now, shout out to my man Extended Paper. I actually own the we will collect. It's actually in Collectors in Black. Is the splash page to Jungle Wax number 15, and that is the page that I used to look at as a kid and just stare for hours and hours. And that's now in Collections in Black. So it's kind of full circle. And Collections in Black isn't just original art, so we have some comics in there as well, like Matt Baker books. You know, the first appearances of Storm, Black Panther, Black Lightning. We try to have them in the highest grades we can find. We also do like foreign books, like we'll have like the first appearance of Nubia, but like in all the different languages and things of that nature.
Yeah.
So it's just a dope show, and I hope I answered that again because I get to talk and I get excited.
Yeah, no, you did. I want to call out something explicitly that I mean, it's been an undercurrent the whole time, right? And it's in the
Yes,
name,
sir.
Collections in Black, right? Because but Phil likes to use this phrase, culturally relevant, and
Yes, sir.
I
That's
just
my
want to
favorite.
lay it out to y'all that this is the biggest collection that I have seen of original art by Black artists or featuring Black characters. period.
Yes,
Like
sir.
the way one person described the exhibit was all these amazing black artists and Greg Land. And I thought that was hilarious. But but it, in all seriousness though, like it, and I've talked about this on YouTube. I still kind of struggle to articulate like how meaningful it is, but to see some of that stuff like on the page, and
Right,
really to see like that, you know, because when I came into comics 2019. This was like on the tail end of like the peak of Comics Gate,
right,
and there was all this stuff blowing up online about like Riri Williams and different black characters and
right,
uh,
right,
black creatives being given jobs and so on. And I remember like at that point feeling like, dang, like is the comic shop not a welcome place for
right.
black folks, right? So to for years later to go and look at this exhibit and to see that we have been in comics pretty much from the very beginning and
For
in
sure.
an instrumental role at that, right? Like I got to talk to Keith Williams because he was a special guest at the Heroes after party, right?
Hmm.
And we're talking about him being on the
Which was
first.
Collections in Black, by the way, y'all. Just so
Yes,
y'all
yes.
know what he's
Sorry,
talking about. But go
yes.
ahead.
We were joking about that, but nah. But he's at Collections in Black. You know, everybody is a murderer's row of talent at the Collections in Black
Yes.
show. But
Thank you.
oh yeah, no problem. But Keith Williams is there with his wife, and he's telling me stories about like his time as an editor at Marvel, where the Spider-Man editorial team was Jim Owsley, now known as Christopher Priest, and Keith Williams. And I'm just
Crazy,
like,
ain't it?
the weight of that, like,
Yes, sir.
you know what I'm
Yes, sir.
saying? Like two black men in the 80s with the keys to what is at that time the
The
most
biggest superhero.
important office
Yeah,
in comics. Like the Spider-Man
yeah.
office, like,
The Spider-Man office, for sure.
you know what I'm saying? Like that's crazy. And
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, and they did it so well, but like just the fact that they were given those keys just blows my mind.
And Keith Williams is one of the GOATs, and he's like an unsung hero. I love that brother to death, man. He shows me nothing but love. Um, One of the things about Collections in Black is that, I believe in cultivating relationships. Um, and Keith Williams is one of those particular people. I remember the first time I met Keith Williams, I did a panel at Baltimore Con. And shout out to my man Josh who put that together. And on my panel, it was me, Sway B, Stephanie Williams, Brian Stillfreeze, Sanford Green, Keith Williams, and Afua
Hmm.
on one panel. And it was the Collections in Black panel. And it was the most amazing thing ever. And to have everybody come at one on one, and I'm kind of just talking and asking questions with the goats up there. But Keith Williams was there, and Keith Williams was so humble. And that's when he had made the statement about, yeah, I did a little bit as an editor at Marvel. And I said, whoa, 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 whoa. And I stopped. I said, what? And everybody was looking like, what? Because we didn't know that. Like it wasn't common knowledge.
Right.
So whenever I'm around Brother Williams, so right before Heroes Con, he was in Pittsburgh. So I saw him in Pittsburgh. And I said, listen, I'm gonna be there next week. You're gonna be there. Can you please be a special guest at Collection in Black? He was like, yes, I'll do it. And that's why when he first came into the building, the first thing I did was I stopped and I acknowledged him and I mentioned the fact of the editorial work because we don't talk about that enough.
Yeah. No, straight up. But
We talk
before you
about
pointed it out, I didn't know it. Like I knew Priest. I didn't know
right.
he was his assistant.
They work together. They
Crazy.
work together, and it's an amazing. Arville Jones texted me yesterday. Asked me was I going to San Diego Comic Con, and I'm not name dropping, but I'm just talking about you know the relationships that we have with these particular individuals. And a lot of times our goats are sometimes either forgotten or pushed to the side. And the one thing with Collections in Black is I want to make sure that doesn't happen. Even though they may not get the same amount of work or things of that particular nature. I want the history to be correct with these brothers. And I also want when people go to these cons, people go and get these commissions and they do whatever, and people know their story so that people can go and do these things. Like a lot of times we don't know. You're in a con, you've seen so many people, you're trying to see whoever's the newest hot artist and writer and new hottest book that you go past so many people but you don't know their story and their history. And if we knew their story and history and it was better documented, then we could do a better job of, helping them out. Not saying they need help, but you know what I'm saying, brother.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, it amazes me. I go to Heroes every year, and Heroes,
Okay.
in my opinion, has one of the best guest lists, period. But it's,
Oh, incredible guess.
yeah, but it's like, it's crazy to me, like, the people who are so easily accessible.
Yes,
Like,
sir.
and I'm like, if people knew who you were, like, this line wouldn't, I wouldn't be able to just walk up to you like this.
For
Like,
sure.
you know,
Sure.
and I've got distracted. I sat and talked to Don McGregor for like a good 45 minutes, Don McGregor and his wife last year. And he's just telling me all these stories about that jungle action run and how difficult it was to get certain things on the page. And like, he was upset at which books get reprinted and which ones don't, and what's accessible to people and what's not. Like, so it was just, but it's cool. Like, and I don't know, maybe it's, I don't know,
That saber back there was written by that image back there was written by Don McGregor. That's a Don McGregor Billy Graham piece up on my wall right now.
man, that's crazy. That's wild. But
McGregor's in my Mount Rushmore for comic book writers.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
You
without Don McGregor, you don't get T'Challa the
don't,
way that he exists.
for
Like,
sure. For
can
sure.
you imagine if we went from Fantastic Four to Jack Kirby's Black Panther run, and then
Yeah.
what?
Totally different.
Right.
Totally different. We may not have got the Jack Kirby run, not from Fantastic Four, but when he did that, if
Yeah,
we didn't have the jungle action.
it's true.
So I mean, jungle action. A lot of time people don't understand. Jungle action also was either the first or one of the first times that we had comics that told a story over multiple issues, over a lot of issues.
Mm-hmm.
Take out the history. Don McGregor, man, he was an innovator. He was
Yeah.
an innovator
Doing that serialized storytelling was not a thing back
for
then.
sure.
You know,
Unreal.
crazy. But yeah, so like, see, getting to experience collections in Black up front or
Yes,
in
sir.
person, like, it was, for me, it's hard to overstate like how meaningful it
Hmm.
is. Like, I'm sitting there, Stephanie Williams brought her son to the exhibit, and he's just kind
Yes.
of looking and taking stuff in. You can just kind of see
Yeah.
on a kid's face, like, the light bulbs go off, like, oh snap, like, I could do this, like,
Yes, sir.
and so for me, that's invaluable. Like,
Right.
so
I mean, and I feel like that, and I agree with you on that. I feel like it's one of those things that you actually have to experience. We could talk about it, we can show you video, but to walk in there and see it is something like, I'll be very honest. After I put it up, I stop and I'm in awe. I remember when I first did the August Wilson Center, the first night, we ran through and it was crazy. I took a break. I came back 2 days later and I just sat there and I just looked and I said, wow, this is crazy. And I almost forgot that I did it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I'm just sitting back there like, I've never seen nothing like this before. So,
Now, along with the exhibit, I did mention at the top of the show that you are a filmmaker, and
yes, sir.
you've made the film Collections in Black,
Yes, sir.
through a couple of
Yes, sir.
iterations, but the film follows you as you kind of go around the country, picking up this art. At one point, you were at Billy Graham's granddaughter's house, like,
Yes, sir.
going through, like, just you're telling her what
That
stuff
was
is.
actually at Billy Graham's place, I believe. That back room was
Mm.
had Billy. That was, a
Oh,
matter of
that's like
fact,
his studio.
I actually or helped to or I went through his actual comic collection that day. I didn't show that part. Like I'm going through and I'm kind of telling him, hey, he had an X-Men 94 in there, had a couple of different things. I said, hey, this one's gonna be worth a couple dollars.
Mm,
And I went through and I saw the books I was able to touch the comics that Billy Graham read himself.
that's insane. But
Like
like,
it's insane. When you think about it, it's insane.
yeah,
You
to
know,
to be able to do
I
that,
went
to be able to tell the
with
family,
long boxes of Billy Graham's comics is crazy. It was
yeah,
crazy.
to be able to educate the family on what they're sitting on, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
just I don't know, man. It's impactful in a lot of ways, but
for sure.
watching the film, I was excited to see the film. I still got to see the last like 20 minutes of it because we kind of got interrupted by Scott Snyder walking in. But you know, but the film is dope.
Thank you,
And
thank you.
I mean you are it's not just I mean, I feel like Billy Graham's house is like a highlight to me because I'm a geek in that way.
For sure, for
But
sure.
the even just you going out shopping, explaining to people what you found. That you get there's plenty of like white glove segments. Like you get something in the mail, like, all right, here's some new art. Let's look at it. Like there's just a lot to love about Collections in Black. So if you guys haven't seen it, you need to see it. So check out wherever it's going to be screening next. Um, and that brings me to the reason we're here tonight. Your next
Yes, sir.
film project,
Yes, sir.
an episodic series, a docu series called Finding 52. Uh,
Yes, sir.
Explain to the people what Finding 52 is.
Man, so Final 52 is probably gonna be my magnum opus. It's so what happened was this. So after I did Collections in Black in Pittsburgh, literally the day we were taking it down, the next day I was on my way to Orlando. So on my way to Orlando, we did Collections in Black in Orlando at OAX. Me, my man Kazra, and Khalil, Kazra from Comic Art Fans, and my man Khalil, who's a super dope collector who helped. He actually has a cameo in Collections in Black, but he also really helped get some of the artwork for Collections in Black.
And
But
OAX is
me,
the original art expo in Florida.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. So us three kind of gathered our resources together and put together the Ellis. I mean, we had it. We didn't. It wasn't about the most, but it was about having the greatest collection, culturally relevant art. Like for instance, we had Jack Kirby Black Panther stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We had the Luke Cage joints where he first put on the tiara. We had the first splash page with Black Goliath in it. We had the KKK pages from Jungle Action. We had Bitterroot #1. Every page, every page of Bitterroot #1 we had on display. And my daughter put those up. I could go on and on. We had Robbie Robertson from Spider-Man, from the Daily Bugle. What a lot of people don't know is that he was originally white. And we had the page where the notes were to change him to black. And John Romita or whatever whited out his face and made black features on his face. So before it went to print, Robbie Robertson was going to be a white guy. And the editor was like, nah, we're going to turn him black. And he turned him black. And we had that page that actually had the notes to change him black. But we also had a page from Fantastic Four #53. For those, if you're watching this, Fantastic Four 52 is the first appearance of the Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
We couldn't find any of the pages from 52. As a matter of fact, nobody knows where those pages are. So when we had people like Dennis Cowan would come in, this is literally he came into the tours, everybody's coming looking at stuff. Um, Sanford Green and and Brian Stolfreeze come in. And if you watch OAX Collections in Black, All Access, I believe it's episode #3. I could be wrong.
This is all on
We're
YouTube, by the
going
way.
through.
I've shared it on my page
Say it again,
before. I was just telling the
please.
audience, this is all on YouTube.
It's all on
It's like
YouTube.
a four
So
part
it's
series.
all documented.
Yeah,
It's all documented.
yeah.
I don't believe in, oh, we're in the moment. No. History is not in the moment. You got to record history, so I don't need word of mouth. You can see exactly where it's at. But moving on. we have a moment when we're talking to, and it's there on camera, and that little clips in my Kickstarter too. But you can see us talking about how they're the oldest surviving page, oh, not surviving, but the oldest page that we know of from that features the Black Panther is from 53. Nothing from 52 has come up. It's a ghost. And I'm sitting there like, what? I mean, I knew this because we were talking about this before, but I'm sitting there like, okay, I've done my research. I think there's been documented sales of pages from 51. There's none from 53. And I'm like, nah, I'm gonna find this.
Mhm.
I'm gonna find this. I have access to the greatest artists. I have access to the biggest collectors. I'm gonna go around the country and I'm gonna find these pages. I'm going to at least try to find these pages. I'm gonna go through these clues and I'm gonna stop and see where the next place takes me. Um, Black Panther is the most iconic black superhero on the planet, and we do not know where the original art for his first appearance is. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's in it doesn't make any sense. And I feel like us as collectors, we should want to know where this is. Especially black folks. I mean, everybody should, but I look at a lot of black collectors and I talk to them about this, even with doing the Kickstarter. I feel like I was almost a little disheartened because I was like, man, this Kickstarter didn't take off like it was supposed to. This is very, very important. And there's a lot of people who Iron Man tells us to spend 69 splash page sold for what, almost $4 million? What, a couple days ago on Heritage? First
Mhm.
appearance of Iron Man by Don Heck. Imagine the first appearance of the Black Panther and what that means to the community. Think about that.
Mhm.
This is something that if those pages are found and we put that on Heritage, do you know how crazy that's going to go? Do you know the light that that's going to come into the black art collectors, the collectors in general? Because the other art collectors are going to go hard and try to get it. Like the pages of 52 should be in my house, obviously, the Smithsonian, but somebody like Denzel Washington should own pages of that.
Mhm.
Michael B. Jordan should own pages of that. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
this
Right.
is weird. When I think of stuff like this, Spike Lee should own a page of this. Like I feel like it's that important. It's as important as what is the you have the what was the image that was in Good Times? The Marvin Gaye
Oh, the
cover.
Sugar Shack.
The
Sugar
Sugar
Shack,
Shack.
Ernie Barnes.
You know, this is the Sugar Shack of comics. This is what this is. This is our Rembrandt. This is our like this is I'm I have a couple things that I'm looking at now where I'm going at first. Well, not first because I have a couple. I'm trying not to say too much because I need to wait for some of the stuff to get on the screen.
Mhm.
Um, but all I'm going to say is that this is going to be about the journey in the process and trying to find this. And in the meantime, while I'm doing this, I'm going to be visiting different collectors and artists and things of that nature. We'll be hearing stories about T'Challa, why he's important, why these things are important. We'll be different collectors' house and seeing this how much dope they are as a Black Panther collector. What they have, the original art, comics, memorabilia, et cetera, et cetera. And it's just telling this story so that we can so people can just understand just how important this is. And like I said, I get a little long-winded because I get excited about this. But it's also Jack Kirby. This is Jack Kirby. Jack Kirby, Black Panther, Fantastic Four, written by Stan Lee. We don't know where any of those pages are, sir.
So
So
let me ask you
that's why we're
this.
going out to 552.
I'm curious as to like where the search even starts, right? Like, because we know, this is the 60s, right? At the time, it's not as common for the artists to keep their work because this is the point
Right,
where they're sending in the pencils. Well, pencils are going to the inker. You're inking over the original pencils, and then you're sending that to
right,
the publisher,
right,
who's then going to make it
right,
into a book. And for the longest time, up until Neil Adams started fighting for creators, the publishers were keeping those pages. They just kind of get filed
Yeah.
away. Sometimes you would get stuff on the back of it, like they'd use the artboards again
Right.
and stuff like that. So, like, is the most likely scenario that that issue just died at Marvel, or like maybe it's still there, or like what are some of the I guess likely scenarios as to where this might be?
You're gonna have to wait for the series. I can't give some of that stuff away. But I will say this: I'm going to be at the auction houses
Yeah.
because the thing is that I'm old school. I come from doing research. Back when you did a book report, you had to do 3 or 4 different resources before you can even put something on the page.
Mhm.
So we're going to go to some of the auction houses and we're going to look at the records. Because comics was, art was sold before the digital age and everything was digitalized. We'll go through some of the books and look and see. I know one in particular. I don't want to, I can't really, one in particular was, there's 51, 53. There's nothing from 52. Um, I know some people will say, well, there was the cover, the rejected cover that Kirby did where the mask showed his face and that type. I said, well, that's not published. That's not a published page. The published cover doesn't exist anymore. Well, we don't know where it is. I won't say it doesn't exist.
Mhm.
The actual pages, we don't know where they are. So it's I'm going to start off at the auction houses. So the first episode, I'll say this: there will be that aspect of it. There will be another aspect of it, and then there will be a collector's aspect of it, and then we'll be following the clues that'll go into another aspect of it. I'll just say this: when that first episode is done, you're going to be fiending for episodes 2, 3, and 4.
But so uh for those
And of course, seems like the pieces of these YouTube shows that I'm doing are going to make it into the film as well. So when we talk about dude, so I'm just saying this now. So when we're sitting back and we're in the beginning, because in the beginning of the film, you got to talk about what we're doing and why we're doing this, et cetera, right? There'll be clips from you know
Mhm.
your show. There'll be clips from Six Layers. There'll be clips from BCL and things of that particular nature, showing us talking about it because we're documenting the process and the journey as well.
For sure. So with this journey, right? Like you've said a few times, right? Like this was going to happen, come hell or high
Yeah.
water, right?
Yes, sir.
But you
Yes,
decided
sir.
to bring it to Kickstarter. Why was it
Yes, sir.
important for the community to share in the success of this campaign?
It's crazy because I felt like it was important to share this with the community because we love the character. And I feel like it was important to share because why not be a part of this? We need to be a part. I would have loved if I seen a Kickstarter like this, I would have been on it instantly. I would have asked whatever help you need, things of that particular nature. And I could have just not done that, but I felt like I also wanted to be the culture's responsibility to see that this gets done. We kind of owe it to ourselves. We always talk about these stories and things of this nature. Black Panther's original art. These are the artifacts. We got to find them. Hey, you know what? I can help out by let me give them a couple dollars. Let me do this. Let me do that. But we don't have a lot of time left. Um, I'm not worried that it's not going to get funded or whatever by Kickstarter. I will say this, that if it doesn't get funded by Kickstarter, I'm gonna be a little bit different. I'm gonna be a little bit different and I'm gonna look at the community a little bit different. You know what I mean? Just being honest with you. Um, because I could go somewhere else and I won't have this whatever, but I wanted to do this for us. I'm not trying to sound like FUBU or whatever, but I kind of want to do this for us. It's important. I mean, I feel like possibly this is the most important documentary of this kind that deals with this particular space. You can't argue. You can't even make an argument against anything else. They was able to do what was the Superman movie that they did when the Action Comics #1 or whatever. Superman's obviously bigger than Black Panther, but there was a Kickstarter for that, and They was able to raise that without any issues. So what are we gonna do with our own?
So to that point, right? Like we've been talking hip hop history, right? Like think about like somebody like Fab Five Freddy, right? Gets
Hmm.
shouted out by Debbie Harry in a Blondie song, right? And that kind of takes things to a different level, right? You start
Yes,
talking
sir.
about these art gallery shows where, you
Right,
know, Samo, or who now we all know as John Michel Basquiat, is doing what is essentially graffiti throw ups, but they are now, featured in these
right,
prestigious galleries, right?
right,
And
right.
we've talked about how, like, up until this point, comics haven't necessarily gotten that prestige put on them.
Yes, sir.
What do
Yes,
you
sir.
feel like it's going to take for the comic culture to break through in that sort of pop way?
I think that on one hand, it may not ever do that. Um, I think that it's its own thing, but I feel like with the original art expos, and I say it a bunch of different times, multiple times today. I think like with that in Collections in Black and others, is that we have our own exhibits and galleries now, right? We have our own spaces. We talk, you talk about black spaces and things of that particular nature. We have our own space within the art field. Yes, we would love to be part of such and such, but I'm also out, my mom also raised me to not be where somebody don't want you to be at. I don't believe in fighting to be in any space. I'm not going to do that. Um, but you're gonna give me my fair shake. Um, like James Brown, one of my favorite songs, James talks about, open the door and I'll get it myself. You know what I'm saying? I don't need any handouts or alley oops, even though I throw the best alley oops to people. But I feel like for us, we have to go in there and in our own space and respect it in our own space. We don't necessarily need it to be in those other spaces, but it would be nice because it is just under the art umbrella. But I don't know. I hope I answered that.
Yeah, nah, I think because there's also, I feel like there's a point, again, going back to like sort of nerd culture versus like, you know, whatever's cool and culturally relevant, right? Like there's an aspect of us, right? Like where's jazz right now?
Mm.
Like unless you're a
Come
DJ
on, man.
or a producer, right? And it's like
Yes, sir.
there's a point where it feels like once something breaks through to the mainstream, we as the culture will basically
Talk
abandon
about
it.
it. All right, don't be scared to talk about this conversation now. Let's go.
Yeah, no. So with jazz, right? Like jazz is now Kenny G. And it's like,
Yeah.
but we had like the greats, right? You talking
Right.
Coltrane and Davis and like all of the Mount Rushmore of jazz musicians is
Right.
black, right? Like, and that's the stuff they're putting up in museums, right? And hip hop has gotten that treatment as well in
For sure.
academia,
For sure.
right?
For sure.
To the point where a lot of what we grew up appreciating, especially that sort of East Coast lyrical stuff, like
Right.
that is like now college nerd stuff. And we've kind of abandoned that art form for in favor of trap, more melodic leanings and stuff like that, right? And I think things go in cycles, so that's always going to come back. But there is a thing where it's like white people have this, and so now it's no longer ours. And I wish it didn't feel that way, or we didn't act that way.
I think for me, it's music is universal and it doesn't belong to anybody.
Mhm.
But we are the originators of all styles for the most part. You know what I mean? One of the things that I don't like that we do is that we abandon something. Like you said, jazz music, bebop
Bebop.
music,
Mhm.
uh, tap dancing.
Yeah.
Um, we abandon it, and then somebody else comes and takes it, and they kill it. Then we get mad. Oh, we can't have nothing. No, you gave it up. You gave it up. So, and a lot of other I think the thing too is, I'll give you an example, and I hate to do this. It's the appreciation form. I think a lot of times as African Americans, we don't pass down what we love to our kids and why we love it. I'm not saying everybody, because I've had great experiences, but a lot of us we don't do that. For instance, you'll go to a white concert with the Rolling Stones, and it'll be three generations of families there together:
Mhm.
grandfather, father, mother, and kids.
Mhm.
Well, you don't see that a lot of times in the black community, unfortunately, and I don't know what that is. But I do feel like that's changing. It's like your favorite hip hop artists that are so whatever. You go to the concerts, and it's not a lot of us there. You go to some of the jazz fests. There's not a lot of us there. We do jazz fest now, and there may be two jazz artists, and there's three rap artists, five R&B artists, and a fusion artist, and maybe one or two really good jazz artists and a gospel artist. It's just I don't know. I'll say this: I love that people appreciate the music and the culture. I just wish that we had a greater appreciation for our culture. It seems like the only time we have that appreciation, we think that oh, it's being taken away from us.
Mhm.
When necessarily that's not the case. You know, music is a gift that you give to everybody. And some people kind of just they gravitate towards it and they stay with it. You know, they can listen to all these different genres and whatever. So
I
that's how
think
I look at that.
I think what it is that, you know, black people, black musicians especially, are
Yes,
so
sir.
innovative, right? Like when I think about like our music generationally, right? Like you
Right.
can draw a line from, you know, spirituals to R&B to or well to gospel to R&B to funk
Yes, sir.
to hip hop, you know, to
Yes, sir.
now whatever we're in, you know. But it's like
Right.
each of those is so different from the last thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas I feel like the quote unquote white genres, you can really like they progress a little bit slower. And probably
Right.
because there's not a whole lot of innovation going there. Like they're waiting to see what you do so they can kind of copy that
Right.
and put their twist on that. And then they'll get to it, you know, in a generation or two. But
Right.
because it's so different from the last, like the knee jerk, right? Even the way I talk about mumble rap, right? Is like I have no interest in what this generation is doing, and vice versa. And so it's not even so much like my daughter will inherit my record collection, and
Right.
but it's like she may not know that okay, well this was a sample for this or this melody came from this song and so on because she just was like I'm not listening. That's my dad's stuff, you know, and perhaps she will, you know, appreciate it because it is mine, but it's not a shared experience in the way that it used to be.
So I think, but so you have to make it a shared experience. Your BJ kicks. You're important. You have to make it a shared experience. My kids in the car, I'm playing jams, I'm playing my shit. Man, we listen to this Big Daddy Kane cause it's Public Enemy. And I'll play new stuff too. I
Mm,
like Freddie Gibbs or Larry Jones or whatever. I don't play all the extra ratchet stuff, but I think with me DJing and stuff, they've been around and they've seen, you know, they've been able to be on stage with artists and things
mm,
of that nature, or just be back there. So that's a little bit different. But I think we have to, it's like relationships. You have to create the experience. The experience is not going to create itself. You have to create the experience. You have to create the moments. And it's as black folks, as black folks, we have to get back to just creating experiences. Like even today, like I know we're going past comics and whatever. People, I apologize for what we do, but it's just like Thanksgiving. You know, people don't even know grandma's recipes anymore. You know, we have to get back to making sure we do those things. It's like the family reunion used to be a staple in the black community. Now black folks don't even do family reunions. And black folks can give you 1,000 reasons why they don't. Meanwhile, we're living in an era where we need to be doing these type of things more than ever. This is when we do this. And think about it. I was talking to somebody today. This is real. Our grandparents and parents and great grandparents were able to put on family reunions with no internet, some no phone access,
Hmm.
and everybody showed up. Came from all over the world. Well, money didn't matter what the money was. It was a requirement. You had to be there. We got the internet. I could contact everybody in a second. And I won't even say people won't show up. People won't even begin to set this thing up. And we always talk about money and things of that particular nature, but these are things that are more important than that. This is legacy building. Um, I got way too deep, and I do this so often, and I apologize, brother Kicks.
Nah,
It's just, it's
we're
just real. I feel like we got, like your daughter should know why you like this particular record, what makes you like this record, because this is what make this her dad. Her dad's this cool guy. He's brother Kicks, man. Hey, this is what my pops listen to. Let me mess with this a little bit.
That's fair. That's fair. That's true. Um, yeah. So yeah, we're of like minds. I was blessed to be in a family where we always did the family reunion.
Right,
Still do.
right.
As a matter of fact, my family
Dude,
is about to go on a cruise right now. That's their
come on
reunion
now.
this year. And I was like, I ain't gonna join you on the boat, but I'll be here when you get back. You know what I'm saying? But
Me and my brothers met today because we're doing our family reunion here in Pittsburgh, and me and
mm,
my brothers are hosting it. We met today before I came here.
mhm,
We were getting the finishing touches together because we do ours every 2 years,
mm,
and we were getting together to do ours. And we don't have family here in Pittsburgh. Most of our family is like in Memphis, Mississippi, Chicago, LA, et cetera, et cetera. So we're just getting that together. So yeah, I believe in, I believe, I'm black for real.
yeah,
I'm not, I'm not black on paper. I'm black for real.
yeah. And that's the I was going through some of our documentation. My cousin Zakia is the family historian. So we do our reunion
Mm,
every 2 years as well. And her job every 2 years is to basically go through very similar to what you're doing with your original art. And you're going through those sales records, right? She's going through the census. She's going through, she's finding old
mm,
family Bibles and artifacts. And her job is
mm.
to find members of the family that we didn't know existed before.
Yes, sir.
And every
Yes, sir.
year the reunion grows because she's out there doing that work. And she can tell you, like, listen, we've tracked our family down to the ship that we came from,
Come
right?
on, man.
Like, did
Come on, man.
did the DNA testing to know that we are of the Balante tribe in Guinea-Bissau, West Africa, right? Like, just
I'm gonna say that again, brother Kicks. You showing out now. Say that again. Say
no.
it again.
So
Y'all from the who?
the Balante tribe. Balante is a word that means to resist.
Yes, sir.
Um, but of Guinea-Bissau, West Africa. And what's crazy is if I type in Guinea-Bissau right now, I'm
Yes, sir.
looking at these people a world away,
That
and they
look
look
just like them.
just like, and
Come
it's
on,
like
man.
that's
It don't get no
crazy.
better than that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's like it's stuff like that I nerd out over, and like that fascinates me. And so that's why
Yes,
this
sir.
conversation, like, is so life giving, because I feel like
It,
there's so much
yes, sir.
that is right here under our noses that we have no idea about. And we're blessed. We're in this world. We've got the internet. We've got all this
Come on.
telecommunications. If there's a Comic Con, there's a different comic convention every month where you can just walk up to some of these people and just say, hey, like, why'd you do this? I brought
Yes, sir.
let me show you. I brought this issue of the Comics Journal to Dennis Cowan at Heroes. And
Mm.
this was a from 1993. It was a black comics artist spotlight. And so they've got an article in here from an interview with Milestone, all four of the Milestone founders at the time.
Mm.
But there's also like all of these different spotlights of the then burgeoning underground comics movement,
Yes, sir.
stuff like Pozro Comics and MC Squared, and the Sims brothers doing Brother Man. Like, all of that is featured in here. Nabil Hodge has an interview. It is hilarious because Nabil Hodge from Ania, who had beef with Milestone, is lighting Milestone up in this interview, and the page turn is the Milestone feature. It's the very next feature. But he's thumbing through this book before he signs it for me, and he's just giving me the rundown on all these people. Like, yo, we looked up to them. This one changed his name, and now he's in animation. And like, it's like I can talk to Dennis Cowan about comics
Yes,
history
sir.
and get these stories. I can talk to Keith
Yes, sir.
Williams and get these stories. We don't have to read about it in a book. We don't have to just go to a museum. And
Yeah.
yet, nobody's doing it.
Yeah.
Like, it's mind blowing to me. But that's why
But you're doing it, brother Cakes. You're
yeah,
doing it.
that's true.
We're doing it. And so I think, we're in a unique position now that we see these individuals and we're able to have these conversations that other people can't have. To add back to the family reunion aspect, and I'll get back to it. We do ours every 2 years. Then I think I want to say every 5 years we go out. I could be wrong. Maybe every four, whatever. We go back to Greenwood, Mississippi,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where the original family was sold at. So we have that same, like, most people can't even trace back to their great grandparents. The fact that we can go back that far, and our whole entire family now has been connected. We found like the last branch of the tree was in California. That's a whole nother story. But we're blessed in that particular aspect. But back to what you were saying, I need a copy of that. I need to know what issue that is because I want one of those that you have. I need to go ahead and I read that. But I feel like we're blessed individuals that we're able to talk to the Sanford Greens, the Dennis Cowans, and things of that particular nature, and have these particular conversations. And it's not weird and or academic. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's just we're just chopping it up, and a lot of times we could get information out of them, not trying to, that you may not hear anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. So I'm grateful to have relationships with people that we have relationships with.
Sure.
Um, even just meeting people like you, right? And Paul, people who are passionate about this thing,
Yes, sir.
who are genuine people. You know what I'm saying? Like it means the world. Um, and it's stuff like this that makes Finding 52 important. Like, can you
Thank you.
imagine the shared cultural experience of seeing these pages, right?
Come on, man.
For me, seeing it on a movie is enough, right?
Yes, sir.
But the possibility of that now going to the Smithsonian, right? You got Dilla's MPC, you got Chuck Berry's Cadillac, and you've got the
Come on, man.
original page, the Fantastic 452, where T'Challa jumps out and reveals
It's
to the
it's a
Fantastic Four that he's black.
to see that stuff. For me to see that, if I saw that for the first time, I can't explain what it was like. When I saw the Billy Graham KKK pages for the first time, it put I had goosebumps, and you couldn't tell the 6, 7 year old boy in me back then that I would be in a position where I'm showing this original art to the world. You couldn't tell me that my daughter would be there watching me see these pages for the first time and seeing the look on my face where I was just like, wow, this is incredible, you know, or the fact that I'm even DJing at the Kirby Awards in OAX. Like, it's these moments that when they're over, I'm like, damn, I just did that, but you're not thinking about it because you're supposed to be there. But I will say this, when I see them for the first time, I don't know what my reaction is going to be. I didn't say if, I said when, because I'm determined to find something.
It's gonna happen. I'm excited to see it unfold. So this is a docu
Yes, sir.
series. We don't know how many parts it's gonna be yet. It just depends on how long
Yeah,
this quest is. Um,
yeah.
just for a fun question to wrap this
Yes,
up,
sir.
what
Yes, sir.
is maybe the most interesting or surprising place that this quest for original art has taken you?
Ah, I think the most surprising first and foremost, the most surprising is the fact that there's no whatever. But I think one of the things is that talking about this with certain individuals and how excited they are and how they want to be a part of this
Mm,
is something. Um, there's something that I want to talk about really bad, but I
mm,
can't right now because I have to let that play out on screen per se.
mm.
Um, so I'm gonna say that particular thing right now will be that. When I'm able to tell you, I'll say that's what I was talking about.
Gotcha.
But I think that's it. I think for me, it's just the journey itself is incredible because I'm not doing this for myself. I'm doing this for the culture, and I think that's it. I think that is my answer. I do have a particular space, but I can't talk about that right now in this at this particular point in time.
Mm,
But for me, it's just the journey and getting and just getting to it.
yep.
I'm doing this, like I said, I'm doing it for me as well. I'm more or less doing it for the 6, 7 year old kid in me that was looking into my pop's books.
So, so with that, Finding 52 is live on Kickstarter right now. As this is going live, you got about a week left to back it,
Yeah.
and the
And
rewards are
don't be
crazy.
shy, y'all. Hold on. Listen, don't be shy. We got to make this. This is for us. I don't want people to talk about the opportunity that was missed or things of that particular nature, because I'm going to do this regardless. Because it's something that needs to be done. I only have it for 15,000. Of course, that's not even scratching the surface of what needs to be done. You know what I'm saying? But we got to get it done. We have to get it done. It's this. This is ours. It doesn't, and it's funny because we've had people like my man Sun Tzu, who's done stuff like, hey, if somebody pledges 1,000 or 5,000 right now, I'm gonna give them a Fantastic 452. Like I have people creating incentives to be out before we even complete it. You understand what I'm saying? Like there are
Mm-hmm.
people that are really rooting for this particular piece, but we've got to get it to that. We got to get it there.
Gotta get it
That's
to
all I
go
got to say. We got to get it there.
for sure.
And it's
So
going to be incredible. This is not going to be, if you've seen Collections in Black, you know how serious I am. This isn't going to be some old rinky dink situation I'm pulling out. I'm going all the way in. Let's just put it like that. I'm going all the way in with this one. This one is getting a special treatment.
yeah. So the some of the rewards, right? Like there's exclusive access to the film. There's exclusive access to screenings where you can go through a Q&A with some special guests. There are commission pieces, one of one commission pieces from some of the top artists in the industry right now, and some up and comers who you didn't know were the top artists in the industry
Yes,
right
sir.
now. Like there's a lot to be had in the way of rewards. Um, but really, you just want to be a part of this experience. Like
Just want to be a part of it.
I'm telling you firsthand that being a being a part of Collections in Black,
Yes, sir.
being in the room, and watching other people be enlightened by the facts and the results of all this research and scouring the earth for these pages, it's going to be that times a million when we find these Fantastic 452 pages. So you want to be able to say, look, I got an associate producer credit in this film. Like, I helped make this happen. Like
For sure.
I helped make this search, this discovery happen. Like this is big. This is big. So
Thank you, brother.
yeah,
Thank you, brother.
no problem. So, but yeah, y'all have about a week. Go to comicsaredope.com/52. For those in audio, comicsaredope.com/52 to back Finding 52 on Kickstarter. Let me know you did. Might be something special on my end for you as well.
That's
And
what I'm talking about.
yeah, man. So Big Phill, again,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I've told you this online and offline. I admire
Yes,
what
sir.
you do. I'm grateful for your contributions to culture, to documenting this thing. Um, And I'm
Thank
excited
you.
to see you complete this mission. So thank you.
I
Thank you for
appreciate you, brother. I'm gonna tell you something too. I've been a fan for a while. Meeting you at Collectors and Black Heroes was a highlight for me. Um, game recognizes game. I'm like, oh, that's BJ Kicks. Okay, this is what's up. It's real now. We got people in the building, and I just appreciate everything you're doing. Even hit me up saying, "Hey, let's do this podcast, man, so we get some more of this information out." I really do appreciate it. You know, that's all I got to say. I really appreciate it, and meeting you was a pleasure, and I really want to thank you again for everything you did in Charlotte. Helping me get footage and things of that particular nature because you saw I was running thin, doing everything
yeah, man. No problem at all. Whatever I can do to help, you got
for
you got
sure.
me. So well, with that, y'all, again, go to comicsaredope.com/52 to back the campaign. Follow DJ Big Phill, follow Collections in Black on social so you
Yes,
can
sir.
stay updated on the progress of all this and to figure out when Collections in Black is screening or exhibiting somewhere near you because you need to get in the
Or
building and
bring
see this
it,
stuff.
or hit me up,
Okay,
or hit me up, Get the money right. We coming to you.
dope. So yeah, I'll leave all the links in the description down below. And I'll see you in another one soon. Until then, stay safe, stay awesome, and read something dope today. Peace.
Oh.